Okay. That tells you the why, okay? Why I'm here today, why I've done what I've done for 40 years. Like many of you, I grew up as a kid in the livestock industry, okay? And so I've listened to our speakers, your speakers here, yesterday and today, and so my role here, as I see it, Matt, is to explain how and why we use the information we use to do what we've done the last 40 years, okay? And actually, Troy Rowan made a comment in the note I took about dumb luck, okay? The billions of combinations and permutations that are involved every time we mate cattle. And along with dumb luck, I have to talk about ego, because we all have an ego. We think we know what's best. And I think therein is our challenge, because then I'm reminded what Eric said. And I thought Eric's points were spot on when we start thinking about the why, which is our customer, and make it about your customer, not you. And you can't build value without information, okay? In the name of make it about your customer, not you, Matt, when I was listening to your talk this morning, and the name, your new index is what again? Cow productivity. I'm going to keep talking about profitability, okay? Because without profitability, the people we sell our bulls to aren't going to stay in business. And even though cattle prices are at record highs right now, this past winter, we still couldn't get bred heifers out of $2,700, whereas 5-6 years ago, Erica, they were bringing 3 to 32 in the upper Midwest. And the reason they didn't get to $3,000 this winter is people figured out it wasn't profitable. So, again, profitability is what everything drives to. Scott, great job. I mean, we have sectors in our industry, and as seed stock producers, we have to keep coming back to who really are our customers, okay? And as I see it, I'll just tell you what we are. This is just us. This is not for everybody, but we focused on commercial cow-calf producers in Wisconsin, so upper Midwest. And I'm going to break some real profound reality to you. Most people in the upper Midwest, Erica, don't factor or know their profitability as well as they should with their cow-calf operation. Okay? So I end up needing to, when we talk about produce what the customer wants, the biggest thing they want, this again from Eric, they don't want any problems. Don't give me any problems. And so over 40 years, here's where I'm going with this. We started out in 1984 with 35 cows. I'm not a third, fourth, fifth generation Angus breeder. I grew up a kid in DeWitt, Iowa. And we started out with these breeding objectives. In 1984, if you remember where Angus cattle were, they were big, and there was a birth weight problem. So we said we're going to focus on calving ease, Angus genetics, with marbling, which is an inherent strength of Angus cattle. And then we wanted to make productive cows, and we tried to select for as much performance as we could get without compromising maternal efficiency. And fundamentally, what do I mean by maternal efficiency? The only thing I could measure was, are they open? So when they were open as yearling heifers, we culled them. We got rid of them. So those were our breeding objectives 40 years ago. And all I did was I used the information and my own background in fundamental stockmanship, okay? Looking at the stock, finding out which ones were thrifty and which ones were not. And I did it year after year after year. So the process isn't difficult, in my opinion. The challenge is not losing focus on your breeding objectives. And that pretty much encapsulates what we've done and why we've done what we've done. So Matt, we decided that this is better than me just sitting up here running my pie hole for 45 minutes. It's going to be question and answer, okay? Because we've all took in information the last couple days. And so I want you to make sure that you can ask whatever you want. And I'm completely transparent because here's the final bomb of where I'm at 40 years later. We sold all our cows last fall. And the reason we sold all our cows, I'm 65, I have a partner who was the banker when we started Woodhill 40 years ago, who's 83. His wife is not doing well. He has 2 daughters who are living in Florida and not interested in the business. Lori and I have 3 children. We've got 6 grandkids. They're all doing wonderful, but they're not going to come home and farm. Why aren't they going to come home and farm? I didn't push them away, okay? They all went to college and they pursued what they wanted to do. And here's another bomb for all of us. If you don't love this, you're not going to stay doing it, right? You really have to live it. And guess what? In the name of mix of genes, our 3 kids, 2 boys and a daughter, they've done wonderfully, but they don't love it. And I've watched, and my wife Lori has watched, we both grew up farm kids in Iowa. We watched farm families where the 2nd, 3rd, 4th generation maybe didn't love it. So that's where we're at. Matt, you're up.
All right. Not sure how to follow that, but I'm going to try. So as we watched your intro video, and you made the comment about the utilizing of EPDs in your breeding selection. Obviously, it's not all of it, but walk us through, just from your perspective at Woodhill, what was your philosophy, your strategy on utilizing EPDs into your selections and breedings?
Okay, so I talked about our breeding objectives from the beginning, that being calving ease, marbling, or end product merit. Okay, I really looked at end product merit. I did look at ribeye, Scott. I still kind of call me simple, anecdotally. I like muscle in the cattle because I've actually kind of thought, and again, anecdotally, that a little extra muscle made the cows stick around longer. Okay? I might be wrong, but if there's anything you would know, if you know Brian, Lori knows it so well she can't stand it, but I may be wrong, but I'm usually not in a lot of doubt. Okay? But anyway, so I just use the EPDs every step along the way, and I like putting everything in Excel. So I've got a spreadsheet with every single EPD and the percentile rank of that EPD within our breed. And I just sort them with their percentile rank, and when I start seeing a lot of 95ths in certain categories, I knew that when I was going to mate those cows the next spring, first of all, I selected my sires based on that same cluster of traits. I've never single trait selected, first of all, because I knew I would get in trouble. So we always kept everything in balance. When I found some cattle that were in the 95th on docility, for instance, I correctively mated. Okay, the mix of genes over 40 years, and I always make the analogy I like to use is a deck of cards, or however many decks of cards it would take to get to 1 billion. I'm just trying to sort those cards out so that the number of good cards that I combine with my bull and my cow, and this is tremendously oversimplifying, right, Scott? But I'm just trying to minimize the problems each generation.
So you use the phrase getting yourself in trouble, and that leads me to the next thing that my next question was, did you ever get into trouble chasing extremes on any trait?
Yeah, kind of did. And this, when I started, I'll just back up and tell you, the foundation females, I've been lucky and I've found some really, really good cows through the year. This is one of the things that I think really was instrumental in Woodhill's success. And I didn't talk about Woodhill's success, but we've sold, bred 50 to 60 bulls down through the years that ended up collecting semen and selling semen, okay? And I was really focused on growth because it was easy to measure, okay? And I think that's a challenge for us as seed stock producers. The easiest thing to sell, when you figure out down through the years which bull brings the most money in each sale, you know what trait was most positively correlated to sale price over 40 years? Sale day weight. Sale day weight. And but here's what I found when I selected for more and more performance. I got a little frame creep. I got mature cow size creep. And to your point, we were talking about DMI and RADG, or in the Angus breed, dry matter intake. I still look at dry matter intake because I think dry matter intake, too much of it, could be causing some of the subclinical and clinical acidosis problems in feedlots, because when a low pressure front moves through, cattle have an inclination to overeat. And they may not get sick that you can see, but subclinically it's there. So yes, I just put a governor, or in the racing car world, a restrictor plate on yearling performance. There's a window of acceptability. It's a little bit like the storybook Goldilocks, okay? Not too hot, not too cold. So if you give me a beast today that's in the top 25%, not even the top 1%, you give me cattle every single year that are in the top 25% on about 15 traits, I end up, Eric, not giving my customers a lot of problems.
Perfect. As you, and obviously over 40 years, I'm sure you've had lots of aha moments in your time, but was there an aha moment from this perspective as a utilization of data and EPDs where you kind of just went, huh, maybe this does work, whether it's good or bad?
Yeah, and I think this is another challenge, especially in today's world where we want everything right now. Overnight success in the purebred cattle business takes at least 15 years. Once you do something for 15 years and stay focused on it, you start to see the effects. And it's like the flywheel. You remember in old farm equipment, to get it started, you had to get it rolling, and then once you got the flywheel going, centrifugal force kept it going. So after about 15 to 20 years, so if we do the math, 1984, 1994, about 2000, I was seeing that we didn't throw that many replacement heifers away. And by the way, we keep and breed 95% of our replacement heifers every year. And here's another little bomb. Remember when you were in school and they would have keep cull classes in a contest, and you'd get data and they'd say, you're going to keep this heifer, you're going to cull her? One of our top females of all time had an individual weaning ratio of 89 and a yearling ratio of 90. So by most standards, when people would come by and look at the cattle, they would have said, why did you keep this one? But because we use genomics, and we were early adopters of genomically testing our cattle. We test every single calf born at birth. We grab a ear punch at birth, run them through. Even if we cull a steer, this is what I chalk up to research and development on our own place. I have genomics on steers we put in the feedlot. But also, and I'm skipping around here, about 7 years ago, Iowa has what they call a carcass challenge contest, whereby producers in the state can nominate a steer, it's fed at a central location, they gain them, put them on test, and then they harvest them at the end. And we had a steer that, first year we put it on, the steer was third overall breeds on retail value per day on feed. A pretty good metric. Guess what? I had genomics on him. And it works, okay? And guess what? Today, here's even more compelling. He was a cleanup calf, and the reason I castrated him is he was out of my window of acceptability. She didn't settle first service as a 2-year-old. He was out of a first calf heifer. Today, she's 11 years old, and she's still in production. Sired a bull a year ago that ABS bought, okay? So, long answer for one question. Sorry, Matt.
We've got time for long answers. It's all right. Does anybody in the audience have a question at this point before we kind of shift gears just a little bit? I apologize to the back corner. I can't really see you because my head doesn't turn and I'm too short and I can't see over Bill. But
one thing I'm going to maybe encourage you. So keep in mind, I'm not selling you anything today.
He doesn't have any cows left to sell you anything.
Okay? But, and I'm sincere. I still love this culture, and I enjoy what's involved. And I would even go as far as to say that's a piece of advice to you and your younger, if you've got children, continue to be a student of the industry, okay? I took notes yesterday and today, okay? I may not agree with every single thing that's been said, but I will take pieces. To your who was talking about a recipe?
That was me.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And I just tweaked my recipe every step along the way. And we hear this in our political arena about a politician flip-flopping. Guess why? He found something out, she found something out, or we found something out that we're like, I'll be darned. Times change. So I may change as long as I'm paying attention and honestly evaluating them, okay? So, any questions? It can be about anything. We can leapfrog over to marketing because that's still a big piece, as we all know, in the seed stock industry. How do you market? So
I'm going to shift towards your customer when you were at Woodhill. Now, I asked if you kind of had that aha moment. Was there a time where your customers kind of figured out, you know, what he's doing, this actually makes sense. It's helping me. And you all you have told me, we cheated. We talked about this a couple days ago. But you did something when you were having your bull sale that's pretty unique to help your customer.
So back to your original question, was there an aha moment? Yeah, it was when they kept daughters back out of our bulls, okay, which they don't all do. A lot of them in our part of the country, I just send them down the road. How do you get your replacements, Scott? Do you know how some of them get the replacements? It's cheaper to buy a bred cow at the sale barn. And that's a crushing blow when you're working so hard to get bulls into their system to produce profitable cows, and they go buy one nondescript. What we do at our sale, about 7 years ago, it came to my conclusion that, you know what it's like about an hour before your sale, you're kind of puckered up, worried that no one's going to come and buy your bulls. You look out in the parking lot and it's like, not many cars and trucks here. But I would see our customers coming in, they'd go out, we had the bulls on display, and we quit running them through the sale ring about this time, about 9 years ago. And then there they'd sit at the table because we're going to feed them, and they're staring at their sale catalog.
We'll get our technology.
Yeah, we'll just pull up. This is our website, because, and they're staring at our sale catalog, trying to figure out which bull to buy. So what I started doing is I would have an opportunity of question and answer. And so I might just stand up, group of customers could come into the sale barn and just ask me questions. So I talked with the customers at a very pivotal time, which is right before they're making their bull buying decision. And it's a good way to do it. Rather than me gathering up with my buddies who I know and standing there and talking, I decided to give the customers a chance, ask me questions. And usually what I would tell them is, because most of them are, how many times you've been at your sale and they pick out 5 bulls. So we would have 150 in the sale, and I'd say, Tyler, how many bulls you got marked? And you'd say 3. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, there's more good bulls here than 3. See, we sell our bulls in sale catalog order, okay? So we know, everybody in there knows, first bull in the ring, that's the sale order. And you know what I would tell them? Buy the first bull in the ring that's in your price range. Do you know how much they loved that as a...
Did your customers take advantage of the...
Absolutely. There were a number of times over the years, so 72% of our bulls sell to repeat customers. And over the years, there would be people that it just made their life easier. Six Sigma made their life easier if they said, hey, Brian, would you buy me the bull? I'm going to sit on the seats. I'll give you your bidding number. It made their life so simple because I knew on the block, and I make the announcement before the sale, you're going to see me bidding to the auctioneer. I don't give my bids to the ring staff. So if you called me up and said, I need 3 bulls and I'll spend $17,000, give or take, I'll buy them for you. And you'll see me bidding to the auctioneer. And you know what else I do in that? And I even tell the guy when he's not there, if I've got you are on the seats and you've got the bid, I'm not going to knock you out even though I've got one to knock you out. Because that might have been the bull you wanted. And I tell that because I do want these people to come to the sale. And I think what this illustrates is when you're talking about effective sales, how do you sell? Know your product, be completely straight up and transparent, day in and day out. People know it. That's the key. And I'm also going to talk, this goes back to data submission, okay? We weigh every calf every year. And it's hard work weighing those calves every year, but I knew exactly what they weighed. And guess what? I'm going to break a little bit of a little more surprise. Every year over 40 years, we had bulls that weighed over 100 pounds at birth.
No.
Yes. And you know what's even more amazing? We wrote them down. Okay? Genetic variation, the mix of genes, okay? We sold a bull in 1994, a bull called Woodhill Supreme. He had a birth weight. I put it in the book. It weighed 104 pounds. We worked with a sale manager for about 2 years, okay? And you know what I decided after 2 years? I know my cattle better than the sale manager. So we didn't work, but he told me 2 things getting ready for the sale. You can't put ratios in the sale catalog below 100, and you can't put birth weights in the sale catalog above 100. Guess what? I did it. 104 pounds, bull went on to be a great sire. TC Ranch, Vance Uden bought the bull. Woodhill Supreme. So, when you record data, write it down and put it in. The good one, we report dead calves to the association. Total herd reporting, huge. And we do weigh our cows and we send it in. Weighing cows is a pain in the butt, no doubt about it, because you wean calves on the day, on the 1st September, when we're bawling those calves out, and the guys hated it. But before we let the cows out 3 days later, we ran them all through. I scored feet, I weighed cows, and I body condition scored them. And you know why I did it? I needed to know. And I can tell you exactly what an average 2-year-old weighs at Woodhill. When she weans her calf, within 3 days of weaning her calf, she averages 1,180 pounds. Do you know what she weighed when we gave her her last scour guard shot prior to calving? 1,180 pounds. She didn't gain any weight through the summer, but when she's a wet 2-year-old or wet 3-year-old the following year, they picked up about another 100 pounds. Here's another bomb. The average mature cow, which I consider a mature cow at Woodhill, 5 to 6 years old, body condition score 6, she weighs 1,492 at Woodhill. Now, and I should stop, but I'm going to, anytime you select for a trait and you put pressure on it, you will affect change, right? People say you can't have calving ease and cattle that perform. You can. And calving ease, to your point up there on what traits are included, birth weight is an indicator. Calving ease is the economically relevant trait, okay? I'm also going to jump in here on frame, because that's a real annoying. There was a time when measuring frame scores was a relevant thing to do. The average bull at Wood Hill as a yearling is a frame score 5.5. Oh man, what a cockroach, right? What do most people, Tyler, when they want them 6, don't they? You know, I'll talk to a commercial bull buyer on the phone, and I'll say, what are you looking for? When we started, they were looking for 7 frame calving ease bulls in 1984. That's what they said. I said, I don't have any. Okay? The other thing we do when we measure frame, we measure it at the hooks, not at the tailbone, because I'm sounding cynical, and I am, because people are like, the guy's sitting down in his office. I said, Brian, this is Joe. I'm looking for a bull. Yep, okay. Joe, what are you looking for? Well, I don't want any of them little sawed-off, pot-bellied sons of guns. These cattle got to gain. They got to have some power to them. I said, okay, what are you looking for? Well, by God, they need to be 6.5 frame. That's for damn sure. I said, okay, have you ever measured one, Joe? Well, no, I guess I haven't. I said, are you sitting down? He said, yes. I said, put your thumb and your index finger about 1 inch apart and look at that. I said, now, do you know what the difference between that 6.5 frame bull and the 6 frame bull is? 1 inch. And I said, if you've never measured, that's the difference between a 6 and a 6.5. It's 1 inch. And how many have measured cattle in a chute? You run them through, they pull back, or you goose them and they hump up. So we can make them whatever we want, is the point. But I was honest with him. I don't have them that big. And without taking the information, without actually recording the information, honestly evaluating your stock every step along the way, you'll never know.
Well said, very well said. So we're going to put up on the screen here a page from your most recent bull sale catalog. I'm going to zoom it in so we can see it a little better here on Mr. Lot 1. And just so people can see what you did. How did your customers like it? Did they think it was too much, too little?
Well, you know, good question. Do they think it's too much, too little? I mean, I think everybody wants to simplify.
You probably got both answers.
Yeah, I do. They want it simple. But these are the traits that I thought are important. I think at our website, so this is off the website, I also put all the spreadsheets of individual, all my ultrasound data, and I put percentile ranks. You'll notice across the top of the page, if you push it up, Matt, that's the average of the Angus breed for non-parent bulls. So that, because people a lot of times say, what's a good EPD? And that gives them a benchmark, okay? There's another piece of information that I talk to them about, which is possible change, okay? Because they look at that and they say, yeah, I'm interested, actually go to lot number 152. Yeah. That is the 152nd bull in the sale who's still in the top 5% of the breed on $C. Checks all the boxes with his dollar figures. He could work on heifers at a 0.7 or at a +7 CED. Pathfinder Grand Dam. That bull still brought, in that sale, he still brought $6,000. And he was the 152nd bull in the ring. And people say, what's wrong with him? Why do you have him down here? Do you know how I catalog them? I catalog them in sale day weight. Okay? And where I was going to go is, on occasion, so see his heifer pregnancy is a 9.9, and that puts him below breed average for heifer pregnancy, okay? But I do seize a teachable moment to talk about the fact that there is possible change in that 9.9, which means plus or minus 1 standard deviation could put him back in the 45th percentile of the breed on a particular trait. And this is why I think when I say become students of the industry, our customers wanted to know the why, and that's what our role is as seed stock producers, explaining the why.
Very well said.
So the takeaway message is, here's the final deal. Use all the tools. Use all the tools. Maintain being a student of the industry. Identify exactly what your customers need, want. May not align. What they need and what they want may not align, and you can remain steadfast. It's like being a parent. If I gave my kids what they wanted when they were 0 to 10 years old versus what they needed. So that's it. I thank you for letting me tell you what I think, Tom.